Should you play No More Heroes 3 in 2025? You know, I remember No More Heroes when it first came out on the Wii. I remember it being a visually impressive game, but I don't think it particularly impacted on the 12 or 13-year-old version of me. I was far more interested in playing Halo 3 or Guitar Hero. So when I saw No More Heroes 3 was available on the PlayStation Plus, I was quite excited to give it a try and jump back into the franchise. First impressions from screenshots on the PlayStation Store left me eager to get stuck in with the interesting visual style that has been maintained since that first game released, although it does look like it has been owned and refined into the perfect pleasing visual palette that I would expect from the game in 2022. If those images were anything to go by, then I was expecting the game to be one that I was going to thoroughly enjoy. And immediately, I was impressed with the refinement of the visual style. I took a look at some of the screenshots in the first game. It was a little rougher than I remembered. No More Heroes 3 keeps that familiar design, but it's smoother and more refined. There's a clear influence from classic anime, mixed with a heavy influence from early 80s video games. It leaves No More Heroes 3 with a unique and striking visual that really sets the game apart.
Tomorrow's a good day for miso, Robin.
Now, I don't know what I was really expecting narrative-wise, but I definitely wasn't prepared for the almost instant balls-to-the-wall weirdness and meta-narrative right off the bat. Don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing. You may remember from my Plucky Squire review, I love a big dollop of meta in my media. No More Heroes 3 really dives deeply into the kind of insane plot that I imagine, as someone that doesn't watch a huge amount of anime, that only an anime could pull off. When aliens arrive on Earth intent on conquering the planet, you play as passing assassin Travis Touchdown as he battles his way across the galactic superhero rankings in order to take down the alien leader Lord Fu. The lead up and close of each battle as you progress through the ranks is stylized as an episode of a 70s or 80s anime with opening and closing titles. I honestly really love the whole aesthetic of the game. It's massively stylized, but it all fits together super well. The core of No More Heroes 3's gameplay is an open world action adventure with some light RPG elements. Main missions see you face down the superhero rankings to rise to the top and take on Lord Fu. In order to do this, you will need to complete designated battles and side activities to earn the coins you will need to pay the entry fee for each battle, and to earn the resources needed to power Travis up along the way and craft items at your lab. There's even a cool feature that will let you replay boss battles on higher difficulties for better rewards. When you first enter an area of the open world, activities and collectibles will be question mark icons on the map. But you can repair broken toilets to not only unlock additional save points around the world, but also to reveal that map. To traverse the open world, you have your trusty motorcycle that I was embarrassingly bad at driving.
Ah, crap! Oh, ouch! Ouch! Oh, crap! Ah, shit.
Now, while there's a decent number of activities to keep you busy in the open world, it does unfortunately kind of feel like a bit of busy work. There isn't really much else to the open world, and I didn't really think there was anything special about it in terms of design. There's very little else going on in that open world besides the activities you need to complete. Between that and only a small scattering of NPCs, the open world feels quite lifeless. And in fact, I would go as far as to say that it was actually exceedingly disappointing. The more I played, the more that feeling grew. As I unlocked new areas, I was greeted by varied and interesting concepts for areas full of unrealised potential. It felt unfinished. It felt lazy, like an afterthought, and I ultimately think that the game would have fared better without the open world elements and instead with a streamlined story focusing on the fight through the superhero rankings. Because while I liked the story, it felt very disjointed, and with the open world merely a vessel to do the bare minimum to reach each boss area, left me feeling like the game was missing a lot of the connective material between those boss fights. Now, each rank you take on is, as previously said, framed as an episode of a classic anime, and within that framing I can see the argument for skipping ahead to each fight and the lack of need for connective material. But I think this just ended up highlighting how unnecessary the open world is in the game, and how much that lets the structure of the narrative down. Because those little snippets of story elements we get between each boss fights are actually really nice little snippets of insight into the characters, which is nice because all the characters are likable, they're weird, and they're all fairly unique. These little snippets that we do get are interesting. I was hooked with the characters we explore in the game, but again, I would have liked to have seen this fleshed out with a little bit more structure. Travis in particular was a great character, with Travis feeling quite similar to Deadpool, with humour that's meta.
So then, what do you all think about this boss fight? It had become quite the confusing mess, but somewhere inside that confusing mess hid the truth. What is real? What is not?
Abstract, absurd, and full of pop culture references, but also completely unafraid to embrace the comedy gold of toilet humour. Outside of the characters, there's another place that No More Heroes shines, and where there's clearly been a lot of focus and polish. The combat. Now, let the record be set. I'm never the greatest at combat in any game. I often have to make a conscious effort to avoid getting sucked into a button mashing frenzy. ADHD, impatience, something undiagnosed, who knows? But it means I often have to either intuitively pick up the rhythms of a combat and get into a natural flow, or put in some time to consciously learn how a game expects me to approach the combat. No More Heroes 3 does a great job with its combat. It's simple enough that on the normal difficulty that I played on, the combat flowed really well and wasn't too punishing when that button mashing fever took over. But punishing enough that it naturally shifted me towards slowing down enough to be able to better incorporate perfect dodges, death powers, and suplexes. That relative simplicity, when combined with the game's style and flair, made every fight from defense missions providing waves of easy foes to swiftly cut down, to boss and mini fights with unique phases and mechanics to learn feel interesting and satisfying. The bosses, thankfully, are a standout. Each one was unique, and there was a clear intent to do something different with each one in a weirdly irreverent way that made each one a treat to play. For all my misgivings about the quality of the open world and somewhat disjointed nature of the story, the excitement of the next boss fight made all the mini fights and activities required to get there feel kind of worth it. Put it all together and you have a game that does something many studios are unwilling to do. Take a chance on a stylized, weird, creative-led vision. But I think they weren't as willing as they needed to be. And whether that manifested in too little time or too little money or both, No More Heroes 3 often feels a little undercooked, a little raw.
Fucking raw!
Now that's not to say that there isn't plenty of good here too, but does the good outweigh the bad? On balance, yeah, I think it does. Just about. Though the open world feels unfinished and the story a bit disjointed, the irreverent humour, great characters, and polished combat are all aspects that will likely keep you coming back for more, just like it did for me. Overall, I'm going to give No More Heroes 3 a rating of 7. Good, which just pushes it into a recommendation of you should play this game. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more reviews. You can follow the link in the description below to join the Discord if you want to suggest a game to be reviewed in the future. And until then, happy gaming.